Good morning, everyone. Welcome to day 3, the final day of the inaugural Culturally Competent Conversations for Equity and Belongingness Summit, or the C3EB Summit. We've gone through 2 full days of such amazing content, so many keynotes, panel discussions that were incredible on building culturally competent employee wellness programs, employee development programs, on culturally competent policy and legislative reform, on environmental equity, on corporate leadership equity, on government governance and civic equity, on financial and economic equity, and so many more across 9 tracks. And we have another amazing roster of expert speakers scheduled for today. So I hope you enjoy today's final sessions as much as I've been enjoying hosting them for you and bringing these, this content to you. Just as a quick note, please do make sure that you're tuning in from YouTube, our YouTube channel, or our Facebook page. This is where you can engage with us live. And if you've liked this content, please make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, as well as like us on Facebook and leave us a rating, leave us your comments, leave us some feedback. Your feedback will only help improve our services and our programming in the future. So the more feedback we can get from you, especially what resonated with you, the more we can focus on those types of things in the future. I wanted to do, this keynote originally wasn't scheduled for me, but I wanted to take this time for many of you who don't know who I am. I wanted to give you a better glimpse into who I am, what my story is, and why I decided to create this C3EB Summit platform for all of us to come together and shape our journeys, shape our interconnected journeys toward equity, toward belongingness, and toward intentional inclusion. So for those of you who don't know me, or sort of know me, I want to take a moment to reintroduce myself. My name is Dr. Aparajita Girigunta. I am the founder and CEO of AJ Rao LLC. That's the little peacock logo that you see on our banner. I am the founder and CEO of that little organization, that little company. And what we do over there is we create customized, comprehensive strategies and solutions for intentional inclusion. We do that for teams as well as companies. We also provide whole person, conscientious, compassionate leadership training for individuals, teams, and system-wide organizational groups. So that is what we do that at AJ Rao LLC. And it is from that foundation that I created the C3EB Summit platform for all of us to learn, empower ourselves, and grow together. Learn, empower, and grow. That is a part of my framework called the Leg Upward Framework. Learn, empower, and grow upward. Where did all of this come from? Where did I come from? So I'm an immigrant. I moved to this country from India when I was 14 years old. Since being in this country and since becoming a citizen, I have been afforded so many privileges and so many opportunities to learn from people across all walks of life. I learned how to embrace and cherish and celebrate the differences in the people that I met. And almost every single person that I've met along my journey had something very, very important to teach me about using my voice, about helping others become more visible. Because in all of this noise that we have happening in the world around us right now, especially in the digital space, excuse me, getting visibility, getting the right kind of visibility where you are seen, heard, valued, respected, appreciated, and recognized because of your unique journey, not despite it. That kind of visibility is rare to build if you're not entirely intentional about it, if you're not strategic about it, and if you're not focused on it. And that is exactly what I help my my clients and my organizational clients and my individual clients achieve. Where does that drive for me come from? You see, in addition to being an immigrant, I am a trained social psychologist. I'm a certified professional executive and leadership coach. I'm one of 34 advanced certified practitioners of assessment tools in the whole world. And these assessment tools are APA accredited, SHRM accredited, HRCI accredited, ATD, all of these governing bodies of professional development. I'm a certified practitioner of these professional development tools, and I use these tools as part of my training and consulting to help people. But in addition to all of that, if you've seen some of these sessions over the past couple of days, what you may have gleaned about me is that I am also a 2-time traumatic brain injury survivor. I was 26 years old when I got a very severe brain injury 2 days after I declared my doctoral candidacy in social personality psychology. I was brought back from death when that happened. And because I was a grad student on grad student insurance, I was left alone to fend for myself with no plans for recovery or rehab. And that, in retrospect, afforded me the opportunity to rebuild my life exactly how I wanted it to be and become exactly who I wanted to become without any rules or regulations or you ought to do this to recover or you should do that to recover. You see, not having any help actually took away all limits because then I was left to figure everything out purely by trial and error of what worked for me and me alone, regardless of what may or may not have worked for other people. It was brutal. It was painful. Yes, it is a lifelong journey that I still go on every single day, and I will keep going on it every single day for the rest of my life as long as I live this time around. But that is also what diversity, equity, inclusion, and belongingness work is. Step by step, day by day, inch by inch. It is never-ending, lifelong work. It can be exhausting, but it also can be extremely rewarding, energizing, impactful in a profound way on your personal development as well as for the benefit of those around you. Because I was left to my own devices to figure life out on my own, I realized these things. I realized all the ways in which society rendered me invisible. Being an immigrant woman in a white dominated field and department, and then having 2 traumatic brain injuries. Everyone around me kept telling me that I wasn't going to be employable, that I wasn't enough, that my voice didn't matter, that I didn't know what I was talking about, except I knew deep inside that that can't be right. Because when you are so dedicated to your craft and when you are so dedicated to your learning, to your academic journey, to your professional journey, and to your journey as a human being, I promise you, you are enough. You do have insights and you can make an impact. But society renders us invisible by telling us that we are not. And the thing is, because we are human beings who rely on our emotional cues, at some point or another, it is inevitable that we internalize all of these messages of invisibility and we start rendering ourselves invisible. So I went through this phase where I didn't want to show up as an Indian American person. I didn't feel confident to do that. I didn't want to, show up as anybody but what society expected me to be. But after my traumatic brain injury, through my recovery process, that's when I actually gained the confidence in myself, in my soul, in who I am as a person outside of any labels that society was able to, had put on me. Because guess what? When you come back from death, all expectations on you sort of just drop away, because at the end of the day, you realize most of these expectations don't matter. What matters are the expectations that you put on yourself, the realistic expectations you put on yourself, the realistic growth mindset, the true growth mindset that you develop about yourself, and the journey that you take inward to make your own invisible visible to yourself. This is why my life's motto and the motto of AJ Rao LLC is making the invisible visible for better belongingness. Because only after you make your invisible visible to yourself first, only after you can see yourself as a whole human being who is enough, without judgment, without that self-critic inner doubt voice, without any sort of self-deprecating derogatory thoughts or remarks about yourself. Only when you can do that can you give yourself love. And when you get to that point of self-love, that is only then can you start seeing other people as whole human beings because of their uniqueness, because of their differences. That's when you'll find commonalities in your differences. That's when you'll start embracing and cherishing other people because of their differences. You include yourself in learning about them, and in doing so, you include them in your life's journey, and you help them include themselves in society at large. This is why I am proud to be here today as the creator of the C3EB Summit on its last day, representing myself as an Indian American woman who has walked this journey up until this point and who is committed to walking the journey for the rest of my life. My culture has nothing to do with any sort of racial constructs. My cultural identity is something that I created on my own, based on my heritage, based on my family, and based on me choosing to embody the things that I love about it, which is why I'm in this outfit today. I'm representing my Indian American self because I am proud of it. Representation absolutely matters. And I intentionally did this because I remember when my parents came to this country, my mom, most of my Indian American friends, aunties, uncles, their parents, so on and so forth, when they step into the American workspace, they don't wear Indian clothes. They don't wear the bindi on their forehead. These are norms in India. Women in India wear these all the time. In fact, it is expected. But somehow in this space, it was considered unprofessional for us to represent ourselves and represent what we wanted to represent about our identity. If this little dot is so distracting that you don't think it is professional, y'all, we have bigger problems. So if anybody sees this, now, years from now, whatever, and if it even helps one other young Indian American woman to say, I am going to go into my workspace today and I am going to wear my Indian clothes and I am going to wear my bindi and I am going to represent that proudly. And yes, it is professional. There is nothing unprofessional about it because my professionalism is determined by my work ethic, my competencies, and my behavior in my workspace, not by the clothes that I wear, not by my hair, not by, the accessories that are on my face or on my body. Those are the standards of professionalism that we should be adhering to. Those are what we should be leaning into, not standards that have come through historical structures that were not created for everybody, that did not take this multicultural, stereotype of a melting pot that America has become, because we are not minorities in any other way other than if you group us by our numbers. When you group all of these minority group numbers together, we're actually the majority. And guess what? Even among all marginalized groups, we may be marginalized, but while we may be marginalized and small in numbers, we show up in our strength, because as members of marginalized groups, of any group that has been marginalized, we have done our work to negate these negative messages. So when we show up, we are stronger. We have already walked the walk. This summit, this C3EB Summit, is for those who want to walk this walk with us. We're not going to carry you, but we will support you, and we will help you on your journeys toward equity, inclusion, and belongingness as ourselves, because we are ourselves and because you are you. So if anybody is going to listen to this message and it affects even one person, to show up as their authentic self, to represent themselves, and to not worry about what other people are thinking, to worry about the right type of visibility, of using your voice to make a greater social impact, of thinking about how to, as my dear friend Berhenda put it in her keynote on Wednesday, how to decolonize your mind, how to decolonize your thoughts, and to show up as your whole self, so that in doing so, you inspire others to show up as their whole selves. That is what this entire summit is about. And that is what today's theme is about. What is it going to take for all of us to build a culturally competent society for the future? What is it going to take for me and my kid to be able to go into work with all of these, maybe wearing a sari and all of my jewelry that I want to wear, and still be considered professional and not a distraction and not unprofessional? What is it going to take for this culture where victims are blamed to change? What is it going to take for us to change to a culture where the crime, the punishment fits the crime, where people are not disproportionately punished in the most horrible, punitive ways that affect the rest of their life trajectories? And what is it also going to take for us to stop giving punishments that don't mean anything, like a slap on the wrist, to those who commit heinous crimes? What is it going to take for all of us to stand up, step up, and walk this walk together, embracing our differences, embracing our different cultural heritages, learning more about them, teaching each other more about them, and realizing that it is in those differences that our strengths lie? So please, over the next few hours, we have an amazing roster. As soon as this is done, we are jumping into a keynote with none other than the one and only Dr. Kenneth Harris, the current national president and CEO of the National Business League, followed by our panel discussion today, followed by workshops and more keynotes. And then we're going to close out at 5:30 today with our closing keynote by Ashley Williams, the founder and CEO of Razar, who's going to be talking about the ripple effect of you. And after that, I'll give my closing remarks for today. So that's it for me for now. Join us on the next session starting very shortly. And before I go, huge thank you to our partners and sponsors, without whom the summit and future programming would not be possible. Thank you to Essential IT, Defy the Status Quo Marketing, Zanzibar Enterprises, and the Nielsen Company. I will see you in the next session very shortly. Namaste.